Sounds good.
Yeah, sorry. Just a little bit distracted at the moment. Just give me one more minute. See if I can get this guy into the channel. I am gonna stream a nice link map and do this MS Paint style.
Would Sketchify not work or whatever it is that we do the tech max on?
Would work. Maybe.
I didn't know if that'd be easier or not. I've never used that website, so
What, Stretch Sketch?
yeah.
That one's pretty easy, but I think you need an account to do anything. And if you don't,
Okay.
I have an account and I've done that stuff, but
I think you only need it to like save.
oh yeah, maybe you can go and upload the picture and then start drawing.
I've definitely tinkered with it, not logged in.
Yeah, I know we have map drawing skills in Paint. I've seen plenty of Paint maps, so
Besides,
right,
we'll be fine.
I love a good paint drawing.
It's fuzzy now, I'm sure. Is that intended?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We're not supposed to know that it's SME.
Yes, we're not supposed to know it's SME. Leave all your preconceived notions of the map at the door. It's just a generic HLL map. First key thing to know, we'll go with strong points. Each 4-grid section has a strong point. Inside those strong points, you are worth 3 cap weight. Outside of those strong points, in the 4 squares around it, which are always set up bottom 4 squares, you are 1 cap weight. So 1 cap weight here, 3 cap weight here. Basic thing that I think everybody knows, but it's the building block of basically everything that you do positioning wise in the game. And I figured I might as well reinforce what the chevrons mean in terms of cap weight. So 1 chevron means anywhere between 1 and 14 cap strength, 2 chevrons 15 to 29, and 3 chevrons is 30 plus. So it's a good way of understanding both the cap weight battle and how many people are in the zone at a given time. So, the basics. Any questions? Or did everybody already know this? Which I think everybody did.
I didn't know about the exact numbers, but yeah.
I didn't either. That's interesting.
All right. Now here comes the basic positioning that you'll say. So let's say these are cap zones. I'll put down 5 of them. Now, the most important position between all cap zones is always going to be the areas directly in between points. So with continuous points, makes sense, easy. You go transition from one cap zone to the other. You're not losing weight either way. You're immediately going from attack to defense or defense to attack. Now for adjacent ones like this, you are almost always leaving the cap zone to either go on the attack. So the goal for attackers is almost always to be in the cap weight sectors. So almost all of your thoughts as an attacking squad lead are how to minimize your time not spent in cap weight zones. You want to just get out of these areas where you're not contributing to any cap pressure as quickly as you can to just control cap weight areas. Cap weight is the most important thing in this game, and you want to make sure you're always contributing in one way to defense or attack. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Good.
I saw Bowser light up. Are you asking a question, Bowser?
Yeah, please stop yawning.
Alright. So, on defense, you really want to keep the attackers out of the cap zone, so you are defending the borders if possible, and on attack, you want to be inside those borders as much as possible. The tricky part is when it's zones like these and they're not continuous and you're always fighting whether or not to be in cap zone. You are really playing against time when you're an attacker. You want to spend as little time as possible outside. I think I've really nailed home that point. So now that we've got the basics out of the way, I am going to start streaming some Hell Let Loose, and we'll go over more of the important things you should always be checking for on your map. Just give me a second.
I think I know the answer to this, and I could be wrong. Oh, look, he actually bailed from the chat. Welcome back. I have a question for you.
Yep.
I think I know the answer to this, but when you're in a strong point and you're getting the chevrons, obviously that's telling you the cap weight. Does that include people who are in the sector or only the strong point?
It includes the entire sector. So if you are ever on the strong point and you see no chevrons at all for the enemy team, there's nobody in the 4 squares of the sector.
That's great to know, because I was gaslit the other day by somebody who seemed very convinced that that was only in the strong point, and I was like, I don't think so.
Nope.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful information to have, especially for commander.
Yeah.
As a defensive squad lead, especially in comp matches, I'll typically constantly be informing the commander of the cap weight.
Right.
Just because it allows him to make a lot of decisions based on, oh, there's no one in the 4 squares, good, I can pull more people into offense.
Right, which is why you hear a lot of times some people going cap weights 2-1, we control, or 2-1 losing and stuff. It's pertinent information that gives a good picture of what this current situation is, to know whether you need support on the defensive or you're able to push more forward.
Because if you're getting 3, then you're you've pretty much got their entire team there, or they're like a couple squads in
Yeah,
your
like
cap.
Kiebs said, it'd be 30 plus to 0.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
you have, again, I don't want to do the math right now, but if you're in the circle, you're plus 3. So what, 15 people, 12 people in the circle,
So in
30
general,
people throughout.
if it's 3 to 3, that means there's 30 friendlies to 30 defenders, correct?
Not
30 or
1 to
more.
1 because
Mm.
when they're in the
It's 30.
circle, they count as 3.
Yeah, it
Gotcha.
could be
So,
10
Okay.
guys in the circle.
All right.
Yeah.
Pretty much whenever you see enemy 30 chevrons, you know it's a very dangerous situation to be in.
Pretty major
Yes.
offensive force going against you.
You could
They have
have
a lot of people.
you could have 10 guys in the circle and 30 of their guys just outside the circle.
hmm
Yeah, that happens a lot. Like, how are they capping? They're not in the circle. It's because there's still that many more of them than there are of us.
Roger.
All right. If you want to join my stream again, this is a live match. So we're going to use this as the template for now. Okay. When you look at your map, I'm usually looking at 4 different things.
Able tank is going to go back to our northern spot.
I don't know how annoying the command chat's going to be.
It's very
It's
loud.
too loud. Okay, I'm going to just turn down that 1 second.
You also have, everyone has their own control to turn down, up or down their own Discord volume.
Enemy garrison dead on 1-4.
It's gonna be voice volume. Keeps not microphone volume. It's voice volume.
Yeah, microphone's your volume.
Probably just slide master down a bit.
How about that?
That should be fine, probably.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Okay. So when reading your map, I basically check 4 things immediately without even really thinking about it. It just happens naturally. But the breakdown is first the placement of friendly troops. Where are the blueberries on the map? And where are the gaps in their coverage? Well, this is a typical pub game, so it's quite chaotic and very bad. Looks like there is 1 squad on defense right now, with the main friendly force attacking directly from HQ to L5. Alright. Next thing I check, second thing I always check, is placement of friendly spawn points. I see 5 OPs on the map right now, 1 recon, 4 regular squads, and the garrison just went up. That tells you where all of your reinforcements are going to be coming from, and where the main push is usually coming from. As you saw, this is pub match, so a few of them are pushing from the center HQ. Third thing I always check for is whether or not enemy is close to any of our friendly spawn points. You'll notice that enemy is already close to the garrison on Terra Green. It means they are most likely in the zone or adjacent to it. Yeah, that means they're in the zone. 50 meters, probably to the north or northwest. You also have Love's outpost lighting up, Fox's lighting up, but
I love the
Fox's,
unnecessary red zone garrison that's just overrun when it could
It's a
be
pub game.
25 meters back.
Fox's makes sense. You expect that to be lit up. Just went away because of its proximity to the strong point right there.
But yeah, but like this said, that garrison in H6 is a lazy garrison.
Yes, something to always know about red zone garrisons is they lock within 100 meters. So that's 50 more meters than a friendly garrison will even be lighting up, telling you that there's enemy close. So 100 meters is basically half a square, if you can visualize that. So all the way, basically that entire circumference, it's quite a distance. And basically, if you're building a red zone garrison, it should never be close to a strong point, usually you're gonna have to set them up outside of cap weight sectors, which would be for Hill 5, G56, and H56. So you'd probably be setting them up in G7, H7, or G4.
But with it being that close to the IHI line, you might as well just put it in the I6 area.
Yeah, that
Yeah, it
garrison
blocks
is
them, and
definitely a
now
mistake.
Now it blocks them from being able to put one in I5 or I6 on the border. They have to go to I7. Tired of the point. Now they're losing. They lost the garrison on Terra Green, so they can't use the HQ spawn. And yeah, they're screwed.
Yep. Okay, I'm not even through the 4 things you look at. The match is already gonna be over.
Well, at least they'll have a new game to start off. See if anyone gets in the supply truck.
Okay, and the 4th thing I am always looking at is officer and commander markers. Let's see, tank marker up here, some enemy infantry marker where I said the enemy infantry would be coming in from, and another tank marker down by Hill 5. Not an abundance of markers, but it's always a good bit of information. And just recently, with the last update, they've added time stamps to those markers right to in the top right of the section. I believe they all have 5-minute timestamps that will count down.
I think it's 3 minutes, unless there's a setting in mine. I think I have the setting maxed out. It's only 3.
Okay.
You toss down a new observe just in the corner somewhere, since it's only your squad.
3.
3, yeah. I find now I overthink it. I'll especially on an airhead, I'll drop the enemy garrison mark, and then I'll be like, oh, 45 seconds is a clip since I dropped it. They've already spawned in, and they have 15 seconds, but then I'll remark it again, and then I just lose track of it all. But it's good to know. Yeah, 3 minutes on the marks.
Alright, this match is just about to end. So, I'll use this time to go over my 4 points again. So, I'm always looking for friendly troops, where they're placed on the map, where they're grouping up. You can tell which direction the dots are facing, so that will also tell you where they're looking for contact as well, which is an important thing to look out for if you're not getting a lot of information from markers on the map as well. 2, look for the placement of friendly spawn points. It's a good place to know where the reinforcements to either the attack or defense are coming from. 3, whether or not friendly spawn points have enemy close to them. Basically, the radar around an OP or garrison is... I've always thought it was overpowered, but basically, it's a tripwire to tell you enemy is close at any given place on the map. And once you know enemy is near, you know you have to react, and you know sometimes which direction they're going to attack the strong point from, or whether or not you have to turn around and protect the rear of your attack or something like that. And 4th, always checking your officer and commander markers. I know it sounds like a lot, but usually you just pick up on these things in a few seconds, and just
Yeah, you
breaking
check
it
the map
down.
enough, you'll see.
Just breaking it down into 4 things, it seems like a lot, but it really isn't.
One thing I'll say to number 3 of watching spawns to see them light up is if you have a cluster of OPs around the circle and they all start to progressively get red from the southwest, like from the bottom right of your screen to the middle, well, that probably means they're coming from the southwest to that direction. You kind of see them light up successively as that same person pushes in closer and closer.
Alright.
It's not always accurate, but
While everybody filters into this game, we can take a look at the map and take a look at what the important zones are going to be. So again, it's the points that are directly neighboring each other in these cap zones. But then you also have to take in the situation on the ground, the geography. You're not going to be attacking from open fields in D4, E4. Main approach from Route du Raz to Hospice is either through this slightly bushy area in D3, E3, which has some hedgerow cover to the north, plus a grove of trees. But that is also a pretty big kill zone because of the houses right here. And because of that, the route du Raz to Hospice is a pretty challenging point or attack angle because friendly players are always going to want to flank down through D5 in through the town, and in doing so, they usually leave the front door wide open between Route du Raz and Hospice, which makes Route du Raz quite difficult to defend any given day. And if we look at Cemetery to Hospice, it's a much friendlier route for both the attackers and for the allies to attack from that angle. They have easy access to the city, which can allow them access to the cap weight sectors easier. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, as Axis, I'd be trying to bank on capping Hospice and not having to recap from Route du Raz to Hospice. That is not fun.
We'll find that most people in comps believe that third point winner is usually the winner of the game. So these initial cap races are always interesting to watch, interesting to see.
One note, I just want to talk out loud since we have people here. Earlier, command dropped supplies in D3 keypad 9, very top right corner, but it was before the countdown timer ran out, so they rolled back to C3 keypad 9. That sounds legitimately crazy, but it happens. If your commander, don't drop the supplies until the countdown is ended. I've watched it happen multiple games.
So I didn't catch that. What was the issue with doing that?
So basically, the commander dropped the supplies before the 3-minute warm-up period ended, so they magically somehow rolled backwards. It happens on flat land with even allied supplies. You'll just watch it on the map slowly, successively, like move away from the intended point. It's a bug, definitely, but
it's also rolled off the map before.
Yeah, off the map is always the worst. Out of bounds, 200 meters away, and you can't use it. It's not fun. At least here in C3, keep at 9, it's still somewhat tactical. You can just place a garrison there and then move up and place another one at the other corner.
Alright. So looking at it from our team's perspective, we have one garrison down, 2 OPs down, not a great start. And Fox's outpost is already letting up. So given the concentration of friendly troops around here, you might assume that they're coming in through these houses and around south to north. Well, let's see if I was right. Now, they hold the 3-story, and that's what's lighting it up. Another common mistake you see C and D's outposts are basically right next to each other. One of them goes down, the other is going to go down. You always want to give room between outposts and garrisons.
So you're saying that in between two garrisons, okay, in general, putting in one outpost in general is more beneficial than putting two outposts in between two garrisons because it acts as a safety net or warning if anything moves in between the garrisons and that single outpost.
Well, that
Yeah.
and you also just wouldn't want them all to go down at the same time, too.
Yeah,
Right?
I think in effect that is part of what it's going for, but you also don't want them so close that, like, there's been plenty of times where I've turned a corner, ran through one strip of hedgerow, and taken down 4 or 5 OPs.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I just killed your entire attack. Thank you.
So, yeah, but what I'm saying is the garrison to garrison 200 meters outposts are beneficial when you put them between them if needed to act as a warning net for offensive, interference moving into your sectors.
Yeah,
definitely. It's a balance of positioning and using the radar. I mean, I've placed bad garrisons just so they act as a radar dish for the 2.5, 3 minutes that they stand up.
Okay.
But typically, it's like I'm not going to put the OP in a bad spot just so it's in a good spot for being a radar.
Alright, now we see Hospice was just lost. All of the regular squad leads lost their OPs. So usually when when a point's lost, you'll hear squad leads call out over command chats or replace your OPs. If you don't see that happening, you know you're gonna have to reset the attack.
So it looked like on this one, Kiebs, that Fox Squad took his down just before it was captured, but then I think they just got wiped.
My
Yeah, that's always
opinion
a gamble.
on taking down OPs is unless you just put down your outpost by mistake and you're gonna lose the point right away, and you know you have to pick up your outpost, don't ever pick up your outpost besides that exact moment. The cooldown is only 2 minutes. If you have you should always have your outpost down and just be waiting on the cooldown. That's a personal opinion.
Yes, definitely. One other thing I want to grill the Axis on right now, if you zoom out, I think they still only have that one garrison up in D4.
Got one up in Rutura.
Okay. So, but still, their attack is coming. This is a super one-dimensional attack. One garrison on the front line means everyone comes up that road. So now the defense is having ample time to get over the top into E3 through the wheat field and below into E4 through the buildings. I mean, this right now, this pub match is like a pimple. If they pop these two garrisons, they're going to lose within 15-20 minutes.
It's also a good thing to note how much time. Yeah, we're about 10 minutes into the game, so the airhead ability is going to be available pretty soon. I believe it's 10 minutes, right?
It's 10 minutes, yeah, it's cooldown.
So you'll notice that there is one person on Rutura. So if they get this airhead down behind, they'll probably start losing Rutura on the first or second wave from that airhead.
If I was a squad lead in this game, I probably would have already had another garrison in C3 off that supply drop in the corner at D3 keypad 9, and maybe into D5, where I'd be hounding people to get them down. Did they just lose the one on Harass? No, it's still there.
I was checking to see. Supply truck driver is an engineer. You'd hope that it's a squad lead putting down garrisons, but that's just for pub match sensibilities.
This is a good example of if you know what you're doing, just play squad leader. Because you end up with a lot of games like this where, what is everyone doing?
Yeah, like why isn't there currently right now on the attackers, which would be from Rue, more garrisons up for?
Well, yeah, they just lost theirs. I think Keep zoomed in and it's gone. So, yeah,
they lost the one D4.
There should be one in somewhere around D3 and in between and D4
just a line.
too. Just
Should have
two
a
at
line
least.
every 200 meters, ideally.
Yeah, I mean, you would also try to get one D3 numpad 9 border of E3 up there to try to exploit the wheat fields, but you'd also get one down D4 numpad 3 in the bottom right hand corner to try to get some pressure through the back alley.
Realistically, a good squad leader will get in the supply truck off the start and place 2 garrisons, or at least there'll be enough coordination to get 2 garrisons up on the attack. The the Germans have the advantage here with the points being how they are, because their attack is so one-dimensional, but they're still in their defensive sector.
Yeah, I mean, ideally the transport truck, if you spawned at top, everybody would pile into that and go straight to the 3-story on hospice.
Yeah. One also had commander not called it in slightly too early. That supply drop, it would have.
Is the standard transports in bottom HQ, right?
Yeah, you get transports now at all HQs.
I didn't see much for OPs in E3 keypad 6 closest to the hospice areas.
Yeah, they had 3 or 4 squad leads in that area. None of them placed down OPs around this 3-story, which would be a good place to have them. Either there or the wheat field up north. Good attack angles. Better to have OP. OP is fine in the wheat, but it's not a great place. It's
My
just
apologies.
harder to
It was
find.
keypad 8, not 6. 6 would be directly in the hospice.
Yeah, it's still the same thing. That wheat field is key. You'll hear a lot in comp game settings, map control. And that just means controlling. I was even going to make a comment that the tank just drove into that area where our infantry was not, and they were going to die soon, and they just disappeared. I didn't even have a chance to say it. That was a 2-man Panther that just drove in there all by themselves.
So let me ask dyslexic Dark Times Kiebs. Say you've got defensive Garys up and down the D column.
It's an airhead. Is that an airhead falling, Kiebs? It just went over your screen? Yeah.
Say you've got defensive Garys up and down the D column. You're good to go. Where are you going to put your offensive Gary? You want to get an offensive red Gary up. Where are you going to put it?
Probably going to look at F5, get down near the chapel. That's where I would probably start at, and then maybe work my way to G4.
Yes,
that's a little too deep.
Top. The problem with G4 becomes it's such an open field attacking kind of angularly towards hospice. You have to either go into the away. The whole idea of being in the sectors that count. If you're spawning in on a garrison or an OP, and then you have to go into the G column top, that just
you're out of way.
Takes you out of the spot.
But it'd be using G column to navigate, try to hug that FG line to stay in cap weight. But it's such an open field, like you said, that your only option then is to push up the back alleys in F4, numpad 4, or try to get into F3 as fast as possible.
Yeah, ideally you can bully them out of the city and have kind of 2 or 3 garrisons. You have 8 total. I like to have at least 5 on defense. I get really frustrated when teams seem to prioritize red zone garrisons over just regular garrisons. So you end up with 5 or 6 red zone garrisons and 2 or 3 in the defensive sector. But
I think I agree with Diz on that. You would want your defensive garrisons and blue zone offense garrisons set up, and any extra garrisons you can put up go to the red zone.
Yeah,
also
that's one or two on route is lighting up now. That should be setting off huge alarm bells.
Right, northwest west is the issue at route.
And you see Commander, I'm assuming alive and on that truck just hanging out. Oh, and he called in an airhead. So I'll make a comment about, we call it kind of shepherding the blueberries, putting garrisons where people can spawn and be effective to help you. That airhead is going to pull people out of position. Whether or not it's a good time for an airhead, just putting spawns in places that people can use takes them out of the way. The only thing that's keeping these Germans alive is the fact that they're only garrisons en route.
I'm just curious why Command doesn't have some Garys behind Rue and C3 and C4 on the border between both.
And that garrison just got destroyed in that bombing run.
Yeah, that's priorities. I don't know what level the commander is. I don't want to level shame, but sometimes they're just they're focused on everything else but the garrisons. I mean, the commander's the one in the supply truck now in C3. He probably just died. I saw it go empty.
That airhead really is also way out in the middle of an open field.
Yeah.
Well, they lucked out though because no one ever saw it.
Oh, it's lit up right now.
Oh, the airhead. Sorry, yeah, the airhead they called in. I thought you meant the airhead the Germans are trying to defend against. No one ever reacted.
What really kind of I don't think new players like sub level 20, like those who are really starting to figure things out, there's like a rotating checklist you always have to be going through. Like if you stop checking that checklist, then that's where like you kind of fall apart.
Yeah, and right now checklist number 1 is no garrisons. You know,
Well,
I'd be shouting at Baker. I'd be doing what Kiebs just did, where you zoomed in, you hovered over the supplies to see if there's enough, and if there's enough, I can then call it someone to try to place.
And like one garrison is better than none, but like a garrison smack dab in the center of the strong point that you know is going to get bombing run is just you might as well not even count that as a garrison.
Yeah.
At
In
this
this
point,
situation, just getting people in would be huge.
Right. No,
Charlie,
I agree.
hopefully we'll
Get one up just to get one up at this point. Like, people are like, okay, we have a defensive garrison up. It's smack dab in the middle of the strong point, and they think that's enough. Like, no, you need another 1 or 2 up.
Yeah. I mean, it's effectively how BHP formed. Is we were people playing pub matches that realized no one ever plays defense, and we can. So it just became a thing.
I was just
Hey, I
curious,
see
too. I
these
mean,
same
you
guys
look at
over
it
and over
now.
and over.
There's guys north in C3, C3 and C4 and south too, and there's not a single Gary behind the point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should be. Gary's gone up in the B column right now. That actually should have been before.
And I think of all the 4th points that the Germans can have outside of Gambosville, like all 4 points here are really defensible for the Germans. I think they can truly make the Allies' lives hell trying to push in, especially with route, because it's all hedgerows and open field.
Yeah, while it's hard to attack it's hard to attack Hospice from route to Haras. It's pretty hard to attack route to Haras from Hospice with a good defense. There's a lot of open field that has to be pushed.
There's good spots for defensive garrisons, and it's really easy to push the Allies in a direction that you want them to be.
Yeah, Keeps just noticed that the E and COPs are already lighting up on Vauville, and they don't have a garrison. E's just disappeared.
Yep, Charlie should be next here.
He's just coming in from the south, running in a straight line. Sees is about to disappear. Command's dropping a supply drop, so that's going to delay them another 45 seconds before they can place a garrison if they don't have a supply guy. This is like my nightmare pub match right here. This is what I see when I dream of bad pub games. Except I'm the one running around trying to get the garrisons. Spawn in.
This is the one we did 2 days ago.
Oh,
This is also the kind of game that feels really frustrating to play as commander, because I'm sure that he's trying to get his squad leaders to like do things, and they're just kind of off playing Call of Duty.
To me, as a squad lead, as soon as I saw that garrison go down at route, I'd have been back at the next point, Volville, trying to get a Gary up. I mean, it was kind of over at that point.
The comment about the commander's frustration, because with that you had 2 squads on Voleville. The commander shouldn't be having to drop a supply crate for them.
Nope.
They're all capable of having their own supply people. I can only imagine what he's yelling out in command.
Why don't they ever put garrisons up prior to moving into the next objectives?
That's the $1 million pub question.
No one teaches you how to play.
Yeah.
They don't have a tutorial. They're not.
I think it, right, and I think
it's just a train wreck from the start. You get people. I mean, I lucked out that the first game I played was with a guy who knew what he was doing. He told me to go support, taught me what to do, and I just kind of passed it down ever since then. I've had friends who I've picked up at level 25 who know nothing of the game. You know, how do you place anything? What are supplies used for? I mean, at that point, it's like, wow, I wish I had found you earlier. Level 20 is plenty. I've found guys at like 150 who don't know what they're talking about. So,
and I definitely think that it's maybe it's also a lot of players coming from games like Battlefield and Call of Duty that don't necessarily have a system like this, but there not being a good tutorial set up yet. That it's a steeper learning curve than what should be necessary.
I mean, the kicker of it right now is look how the Ville's going down already. No garrisons whatsoever.
I think they placed one. It's there.
They just placed one
though, so it's not going to last.
But the question is though, how much is it just recon, or how much infantry really has pushed out of Haras this fast?
About 3 or so minutes ago, there was a recon plane. It showed
Right,
enemy dots
it should heavy
from direct line.
Right, I know. I showed him
So-
heavy in C4, moving into C5, but
That would have been one of those ones, Commander. I probably would have done the angular supply or like recon over both points. It would have caught those two people coming up behind Vauville.
right.
It's always
We
hard
used
to
to get
judge.
caught like this quite a bit, where there's no attackers between the points, so that the people coming at you are coming right between the points, but we don't have any defenders there.
And this is also a good example of a lineup where even if you have a squad that preemptively redeployed to set up at Volaville, if they just push up into like C5 right there on the line, they'll be able to stem the flow from the infantry pushing in pretty hard to harass because that's all open field.
Exactly.
It makes them look like they slipped through B4 and B5 directly into the Ville, and no one was there in general to stop them at all.
Right.
There was no one to stop them from just about every angle they came in until they were on Vauville. It's just.
And I've also noticed there's a really shocking lack of marks from squad leaders as well.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of inexperienced squad leads. We're just not really working together. Because you can have a game with two squad leads that know what they're doing and they can pretty much control the area.
Okay, Garrison just went down at Volleyville. Was lost a while ago, but now it's over.
Man, this is hard to watch.
What's the game time, Kiebs?
24-minute match.
Wow.
Jeez.
And I'm looking at the player list as well on that's in Fury right now, and it's not like it's a stack from what I can tell. It's just one team not putting up garrisons and one team's putting up garrison.
It's gonna be me just shouting at the sky, but this is why I don't like when people brag about world records for fastest games, because all it means is you played against a team that did nothing. Yeah, you won in 15 minutes, cool. They did nothing to stop you.
You played against a team who didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah.
It's like you played against Air. What did you expect? And I don't mean Air apparent, but just like you literally played against a ghost team.
Yeah, no one was on any of the points as you pushed. You were able to just get in there and cap. Go to a different server. That's a good idea.
Yeah. See if we can find a better game.
Flash wasn't terrible. I don't know what you were on. We were in Flash.
He was on Fury.
That wasn't terrible. Although we were doing most of the work, so.
Offensive map.
Thunder's got a few
Thunder's
people
on
board.
Kursk.
I think offensive is interesting enough in the sense that it's like the purest form of each, positioning, either attack or defense. Like,
I feel like
say like I don't like to defend. It's like play offensive. All you have to do is defend. We can make it easy.
And
I'll show you how to do it.
And I actually feel like with the way offensive is now, where it's just a single point you have to take now, I feel like a lot of our 18v18 training on how to assault points is played off on that.
Yeah. Oh god. So going to Kiebs' 4 things point layout looks terrible, but it's kind of beneficial to both sides for that defensive same thing. All the sectors are in a straight line, it looks like, so you'll be effective pretty much everywhere.
These straight lines are objectives that are right next to each other. Usually leads to better pub games, or at least more stagnant, unless people build garrisons off to the side.
Yeah, they just kind of end up attacking in a straight line over and over. Oh, Kursk is brutal as well.
Alright, Oleg's is already going down. Nobody in the zone.
Did Command drop
Be
the supplies too early?
prepared.
Are they going to roll?
No,
Just
they've landed already, I believe.
Oh yeah, you're right. I want
Yeah.
to see them roll in lifetime.
Yeah, so
Yeah, they're there.
Oleg's has started going down before we even had people in the zone, so you can just expect right away that you're going to have to retake the point.
Yeah.
So,
The layout
use-
favors the Russians, right? We know we're Russians currently. The Axis layout favors the Axis. It's closer to them so that their trucks can get in and into the circle faster than the Allied trucks can. Also, if you have a good recon vehicle, you can stop basically any movement.
So I don't know if this is the best place to ask this, but one thing I struggle with is, timing is really so important in this game. What map clues are you looking for to know, boom, now it's time to go back to the defensive point, or we're done defense, we can go to offense, but that crucial minute when you have to go back to the defensive point? Is it when they lost that garrison that we last saw? Is it when, as soon as you start to see it flicker? What are you guys looking for?
So are you talking about the last map we were on?
I'm talking about any time. It was pretty obvious the last map, but
Yeah.
It's a large combination, I'd say. It's a mixture of how many OPs are hot, how many times have they called out in command chat about a push, has a recon come over lately? It's pretty, usually if there's a recon that flew over and you see a lot of dots, everything is hot, it's a good idea to start moving back just to help out the team. I mean, on defense, I have a I don't know what it's called, a mentality that I tell my guys that if you see any garrison that's hot and you're dead, just spawn on it. Just clear it, keep the garrisons clear, because if they knock out 2 or 3 garrisons at the same time, then it's red lights should be way going off at that same time, because now now your defense is crippled. All you're down to is your 1 or 2 last garrisons, and then that's it.
It's like the other day we were playing Utah, and it was 2, 3 garrisons. We were backcapping. They kept dropping them, and we were taking out outposts and garrisons one after another. You just would not quit on trying to get behind us.
Alright. Let's just say you just glimpsed your map right now. You're looking at those 4 important things. You're looking at the location of your friendly troops, location of the friendly spawns, where not a spawn is lighting up, and those markers. So just based on friendly troop movements, you know that you should be having some more people push down this trench into zone, like Mike looks like they're gonna try to do. There isn't a lot of great entryways into Oleg's house, but one of the best entrances, I believe I'm remembering this right. No, I'm not. Holding the trenches is important, just to hold the ground and keep them pinned in Oleg's house, because it is very vulnerable to artillery and airstrikes. Ideally, you want to keep them pinned while you have another squad or some force going through the city, and just keep on squeezing them out of Oleg's. Pushing through the open fields, obviously not a smart choice, but that's where a lot of the blueberries are right now.
Well, they did get the garrison up in the windmills so they can start pushing from there.
Yeah, see, that might be a little too far out, because realistically you're probably gonna end up with too many people spawning there.
I have used that right side. I mean, I guess if you're coming from the Soviet side, it's on your left, but the right side of the map, just because they're the rolling hills the way they are, you can get kind of sneaky over there if you don't have a giant push. Like, you can probably get away with a squad working their way in.
I play it like, I don't know, if I keep running if I run into the same wall over and over and over, I'll leave it for a little bit, and then after a few minutes of no one making that move, I'll just see if I can push it, and every now and then you'll break through, find yourself past the enemy, and you're like, oh, I'm getting an OP down.
They just got that second one up in the town, so the one on the windmills at least gives them a fallback if they lose it. They're in the EF line.
But the thing of it is, now if you look at the map, there's so many forces off to the west. They don't have a front line really anymore. They have infantry in H5 and over in E6, but there's nobody in G or F5. And if they're able to use the trenches, they'll go straight into listening post.
That's because they have blueberries.
Yeah, they have no defensive garrisons either in F3, F4. So if an airhead drops, if supplies come in behind, there's no recon.
So it's like that flank is great. The flank is great, but in the meantime, it's doing absolutely nothing.
It's not a flank. It's a different axis of attack.
Right.
Looky
it's
here,
only flak
your
if you
commander wants able to get a garrison up. That's going to be overrun right as he places it in H5. That's like on the backside of a hill. I've definitely placed a garrison there. I know why they're doing it. But it's just going to be overrun based on April's OP being hot.
Yeah, I'd argue that the first area out by the windmills is way too far out, so you got half your team clear out of the cap sector, no way to get into it, and wasted space, wasted time right now.
This
squad lead
section
in
right
this
here,
truck.
G5, is really worrying to me. So let's check that out, see if there's any enemy infantry rolling through that trench.
Yep, look, Gary's overrun. Yeah, you need people in that trench. You don't need them clustered up as much as they aren't able. You need garrisons to the west of the defensive point.
All I could do is just
That's a
punch
full squad
through.
pushing through the two
Yeah.
squads.
The FG trench is definitely a place you want to push Oleg's from. You get established in the F5 trench line, you can move that into the G5 trench line.
Well, and this becomes back to the shepherding thing. Because they didn't have a garrison there closer to the G4 side, everyone's spawning and going around, leaving this trench line wide open, where the infantry keeps just zoomed in on a garrison in that crossroads. So
They
the
should
infantry's
start
just walking up.
listening posts in like
Yep.
a few seconds.
It's that one guy, that one guy in the trench line by the supplies holding off this push. I like watching them fighting on the left side. And with no garrison, I don't know, it's a balancing thing, but with no garrison close to the circle, if it does become red lights flashing, by the time you spawn, you're still going to have another 40 seconds of running before you're into the circle, so...
I think that guy by the supplies died. Are you there? He's covered by the symbol.
Yeah, he died. Dead, and there's one person that looks like other. I can't really tell.
And
this is the other thing. The Katusha he called is on, because the recon was a bad angle for the recon, he called the Katusha on Oleg's when he should have called it in that crossroads of the trench line.
Yeah, I think you're going to see your answer here pretty soon when listening post starts getting capped. And Diz just touched on it. If you spawn back at any one of those areas, you're still 30 seconds out of the point if you can run straight without dodging.
Yeah, and with the whole counting as 3 inside the circle, it's easy to have 2 guys inside the circle and you just offset.
And then there goes the listening
6
post.
guys outside the circle.
Yep. And they need people back there right now. There's no squad leads back there at all right now.
Is that a airhead in H6?
Yep.
For in the airhead, yeah, they just called it in. This is a commander who doesn't have the right priorities. He's calling offensive moves when they don't have anything set up for defense.
Why didn't he put it in between H and G6, like right behind it?
Probably trying to make
that would throw him off.
Wasn't going down yet, so he wasn't sure that there is a huge push going through here.
Well, but I made the comment that the recon was bad. He called it, I think he called it side to side through, I can't see.
He called it west to east versus north to south.
He called it through the 6 row, so he only saw that Oleg's was hot. Had he called it north-south through the G and H line, ideally he would have seen, oh, there's infantry there. I'm not going to call in the airhead. I'll shift the Katusha.
Look at the momentum they've lost in H and G 5. Forward momentum is totally gone.
Oh, but look, Gato, look, they're going to start capping, so I bet you someone in command chat will be shouting, we're capping at Oleg's.
Yeah,
the thing is, though, is that the Western
all
advance.
those blueberries still haven't redeployed.
No, and not to mention the Western advance, they're completely stalled out by probably just one squad of infantry in those houses.
Yeah, they've been stalled for a while. Commander did drop
2 guys over there,
but it's probably not enough.
Like if you think about it, like 5 guys just stop like 15 people in their tracks on that really wide Western advance.
Yeah, that's why it's too far out for that kind of attack. It's okay if you're going to get squad leads in to put OPs down closer, maybe. But
really quickly here, red lights are going off because none of the garrisons are far enough behind the lines to matter. So the second listening post is gone, they have no garrisons on the board. And if someone happened to be at Gruski's, is someone camping at Gruski's? Yeah, that middle. So now middle HQ is rendered useless, so you cannot spawn at center HQ. So this game is also likely done in the next few minutes. Commander called his supplies in too early, so they're going to fall at a spot they can't spawn. This session has just reminded me why I forced myself.
I mean,
to
German
squad
supplies are
lead
already
over and over and
falling.
over.
That's crazy.
Now the overall frontal push that they lost by dropping the airhead and everybody spawning on it. There should always be someone on the offensive when you're going to throw a airhead behind them.
Well, that goes to the point I was making earlier. If you don't have a frontal push or some push from some direction, anything else you do is not a flank. It just changes
Right.
the axis of attack. So they just rotate and defend that direction now instead of multiple directions.
Right. Yeah. Right. You're right. It was the wrong terminology.
No, it's one that we've had for like 6 months or a year in our comp matches. We keep forgetting that flanks aren't flanks unless there's a frontal attack.
Yeah, it's typically a smaller attack, a sneakier one,
Yeah,
not the whole company.
Well, looks like they salvaged it.
I wonder if that recon got that garrison up in the D1H quarters.
I love that truck just driving through the gate.
Oh no, he's just gone.
Yeah, this is a pretty good recon because we'll see both points. Yeah, they're still pretty poorly spread out. You see 4 to 5 blueberries around O legs. And how that OP that's placed is a recon OP, so that none of them are in that squad. So it's just like you're not needed there.
Yeah, what I'm curious about is everybody's going to utilize like F3, F4 to either, whether it's the Russians pushing into listening post or the Germans pushing into Grishruki, if they're going to try to go F3, F4 through the trenches.
Trenches are king on Kursk, especially
Right.
on the Russian side.
Especially because F3, F4, that pretty much leads straight into the Grishruki strong point, or it can lead straight into listening post, depending on how you want to use it to your advance.
Now, right here, where would you be attacking from? Gruski to listening post. What's the most important route you'd be taking?
It'd be it'd be through G3, it'd be the neutral
G3,
ground between both
F3.
points. If you're talking straight point to point, it'd be F3, G3.
Yeah, F3 to G3.
And you also have to be looking at the situation on the ground. G3, you're not going to have a bunch of entryways actually into the strong point because of open fields between this trench line and these trench lines.
So the only connecting trench lines you have, though, is F3 and G4. That takes you straight into listening post.
So for this specific point, for this specific entryway, you'd want an attacking squad or a defensive squad holding this juncture. Probably this house has the best defensive view of G3, while having an attacking squad work their way through this trench line, which provides direct access to listening posts without ever having to go through open fields.
Able squad's got something in G3 right now on the trench line.
Let's see what he's doing.
Yeah, their OP was pinging.
Sometimes though, smoke and chutzpah will get you pretty far.
Unless that's
I can't tell you how many
partial
areas
unit.
I've ran across. It's been made. I've also died plenty of times, but
I mean, I definitely think going from where Able OP is, across a little open field to the next trench line isn't that crazy. A couple smokes in a run should get you to that next trench line.
the key is getting the SL there and getting the OP down. I don't care how many times everyone else dies, as long as I can get the OP for everyone else, and then we can just keep doing it.
You know, if it's a different story. If that's where the main push is coming from, there's just a shit ton of fire coming your way. Then yeah, that little small open ground is kind of a death run. But
And Commander's now dropping supplies at D4. That's a little too far out. Just really wide on the attack. It's not a bad spot, but you spawn in, you have to run. What listening post sectors that matter are GH34, so you have to run 600 meters before you matter.
Actually looks like a waste of energy for some poor squad.
Well, yeah, but people will use it. Because commander put a move mark, he's dropping supplies. I don't know if he's going to go for it or if he's asking people in command chat, but I've had plenty of situations like that where someone places that, people spawn in, and now you're running.
See, more alarms should be going off in your head right here as an attacker. You've only got 1-2 people in the strong point on listening post. You're already starting the cap. That means the enemy is most likely out of position. And you really want to take advantage of this moment right now.
They're either out of position because they're bad, or they're out of position because they're trying to mount an assault on you. But luckily you're not losing Gruski, so it's not as pertinent.
And if you're going to take advantage of this as an attacker, you need to look at the placement of your friendly troops, placement of their spawn points. Likely means that that's a safe passageway from G3 to the strong point, which is easy access.
Well, now Garrison lit up, so that tells you that maybe not.
Wasn't that Gary Alpha's outpost?
Alpha's outpost was where that blue dot's at, the blueberry right there, yeah. I see that Gary's overrun, just overran in G3 or whatever it was. G2. I think it disappeared.
Yep. Enemy
it's
recon.
Backyard.
Sneaky guys in the building. Nice. Never thought about that.
Oh, make it guy. He's gonna do it.
It's a scary thing to me right now, being defensive usually. We have everybody pushing now, and there's like one guy in Gruski. So if our push gets stuffed...
Yeah, if a bombing run were to hit right now, this would be recipe for disaster, but they lucked out, they got the cap. I'll buy them another 5 minutes.
Garrisons right now.
Yeah. If I was an easy A or item, I'd be telling someone who was dead, come in as supplies. Place immediately.
Yeah, you would have been telling us to get supplies just before the cap hit. So
they haven't cleared the point, they don't have a garrison, and he's already dropping an airhead.
Yep. Yeah, this is, You're asking for people to become out of position just off of that. Because people are going to use naturally whatever spawn's available.
Yeah, they're going to go straight for that airhead.
Yeah, nobody's going to get a Gary up on the point.
Yeah. They still have a box to the west, I think, that has 100 or 50 left.
What's the max number of garrisons that can be on the map at once per side?
8.
I don't see nowhere near that many.
No, yeah, they have
even
2.
offensive.
Oh, they got one up. They got one up.
And they got one in center HQ as well.
Just placed a listening post, yeah. So they placed it, the supplies west or 200 meters away, so you can get a second one west. But still, that airhead's, if it lasts, which I don't think it's going to last, people are going to use it.
2 outposts just went down, right along here.
Yeah.
Everybody's waiting to spawn on the airhead right now.
Yeah, they'll start losing listening posts before they get even close to Oleg's.
Yeah. And like Kiebs was talking about earlier, you can usually see which way people are looking with that little black arrow. All of Easy Squad is moving away from where that infantry came in behind them. Oh, now 2 of his guys are dead.
And that's a good point, because they just took the point. They didn't look at where the other team used to be pushing. They're coming back into the point now. Everybody's headed south already.
I think 1 or 2 people just backtracked from G3, F3. And that's what's causing that havoc.
Exactly.
Well, 2 people use the airhead, I'm shocked. I'm flabbergasted.
Center HQ, we got recon back there now.
And Gary's overrun.
There's your bombing run, Diz.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a stressful position to be in as a squad leader.
And there goes the cap.
Because in my head, this would be one of those matches where it's like I'm not going to have any fun because I'm placing garrisons the entire game.
I guess it's more of the commander's choice on the defending and attacking side on whether or not there's going to be offensive, defensive garrisons.
But there should always be some of both. I mean, the offensive garrisons are secondary to defensive garrisons in my mind.
Well, yeah. I've also had bad commanders, and I'll do what I think is best for the team over what the commander tells me to do. There's been plenty of commanders that, hey, Abel, spawn on the airhead and attack. And it's like, no, sir, I'm working on getting a garrison.
Oh no.
And I'm not going to do that. And he's like, no, I need you on the attack. It's like, no, you don't. Other people will attack that you told not to attack. Don't worry. We'll see.
I definitely think that airhead is just like trying to have your cake and eat it too. I mean, it's a super huge gamble, and hoping that garrison at listening post is going to last long enough to get a reinforcing wave off of it to be able to hold it.
It looks more like a decoy more than anything to pull people off the front line.
Well, they had it there. Mike's squad came in. He didn't drop. He didn't get a supply grider to drop anything. They only got 1 OP off of it.
Probably the next thing you see is a commander's drop.
Well, here's a situation where Jig is feeling pretty proud of himself because he's got a garrison down, but it's the second garrison that the team has, and it's all the way on the west side where it doesn't matter. And now he's going to try to go to the windmills to place another one. In my mind, Jig is taking up valuable garrisons. I mean, the team is not at a garrison limit, and he's actually screwing them over. But still, I've had plenty of matches like this where you have a guy placing garrisons 800 meters away. It's like we need them on the point.
Or maybe not on the point, but in the important areas, in the active areas that are going to actually be useful.
Yeah.
Dropping his OP there would have made sense, but a garrison there is just ridiculous.
Like if somebody put a garrison in F4, is it useful? I mean, kind of. It's puts you back close to the cap sector, but something in G3, G4, H4 would be better.
Yeah, it's not useful. It's just there's a million other options that would have been better.
If somebody spawns in that garrison he puts, you're at least 5 minutes away from getting in a cap sector.
Yeah, well, in their command just drops supplies in the red zone when they have no defensive garrisons up. They have two infantry marks on the backside northwest of listening posts, and command's dropping supplies in F6.
The one thing I do like about Jig is he's by himself. It's a squad leader off by himself. He can flank in, maybe get OP up or whatever while his squad defends for a while.
There should be a garrison where their supplies are in H4 and a garrison where Kiebs' marker is in G4.
Yeah, where your guys hovering, basically, yeah, you'd have 2 on the west side. You should have that one back up near Gruski. You should have one H3 keypad 9 or H2 keypad 3, so it's in the HQ sector in case the point's lost. That's really something when you're placing garrisons, is being attentive to where would this be now if we lose the point, and if you can place it 2 feet back and it's going to be in the sector that won't be destroyed when you lose the cap, then you'll be fine.
I see a lot of times garrisons are placed out in the open. That is so annoying. You place a garrison, I understand you're doing it for the benefit of your team, but when you place it when it's a direct line of fire and there's easy line of sight to smoke anything that spawns on it, that's annoying when you lose half your team.
Yeah, I'd say the only exception to that is if that's the only place you can put it and you're rushed, like on a defense or something.
Yeah, there's definitely situations. It also becomes knowing which garrisons not to use. If you die on the same garrison 3 times from an MG camping, it spawns somewhere else.
The commander drops supplies and you're like, well, this is where I gotta put it.
I think
yeah, that happens too.
The commander is the
from where you
important
want it.
thing. The commander is more experienced, knows not to set his team up for failure by putting a garrison in an open field and dropping supplies.
Commander is anybody who can pick the role. So, ideally, yes, the commander could be. You have air command, you have air commanding, you have cheese, you have Kiebs, you have people, people who know what they're doing. they won't be doing this the supply drop again. Commander just lost his one that fell in F6. He's trying it again in H6, where they already lost the airhead and they already lost a garrison. So it's just
experience.
It's just rinse, washing, and repeating when they have no defense. But because, like Kiebs was saying, the points are next to each other, this is lending it to be pretty stagnant. The one garrison at listening post is where they're attacking from, so they're not going to lose it anytime soon unless they all push out too far into O-legs and overextend.
It's really going to be somewhere where just a guy isn't going to clog it at 50 meters. Now, if you look in that bunker complex in F7, probably be a little bit better choice because it's further away from their cap zones.
That's an enemy airhead that just went down. Looks like it wasn't spotted. That's going to be a great position for those attacking Axis.
Yep. Well, it's always a balance too, going back to garrison placement. That one on listening post blocks you from putting anything on the front line. You have to go really far out to keep that 200-meter distance.
They just spawned and jumped in the trench.
Yep. Now they have a straight line basically into the backside of listening post on the garrison.
That's one of the things that you really drove into our heads is whenever you hear a plane go over, look for what's dropping.
Yes. If you're in my squad, if a plane flies over, one of us is looking in the air and confirming what's coming out.
Pretty much all of us are looking in the air.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You only see us when a plane goes over, the whole squad just stops and looks up.
I think we have a screenshot in HLL resources, but it's a good idea to know what's the Axis plane and what's the Allied plane. The Allied plane has the 4 turbines, the Axis plane has 2 turbines. If you know what side you are, you can kind of instantly judge whether or not you need to pay attention to it.
You guys are looking in the air and I'm blowing spit bubbles looking at the ground.
I mean, in this situation, had I been on this team, we probably wouldn't have gotten the airhead fast enough because the spawns were too far, but one of us would have called it out. There would have been a mark on there. And like they have a tank mark now, but they don't have... Well, yeah, but in the same exact situation, had I been on that point. They have a tank mark now, but not the airhead marked. So...
And to the question earlier, when is it time to go back? Now. Now's the time to go. If you're attacking right now, there's no point to it.
Is there any chance of zooming in on listening post right now and seeing exactly where they're capping that from? I'm curious.
They came in through that, it's that trench line from the airhead, so they're on the backside of the circle. A strong point inside the sector.
Looked like
they got completely pinched. There's people coming in from south to north, the airhead, and also the original attack angle.
Yeah. Well, if you go back to your map really quick, Kiebs, you can see we have a nice flank coming in from the windmills. So, again, going back to...
Game's totally in hand. Got that flank out.
Yeah. By having the garrison, you're telling people to use it.
Yeah, and it's so far out that it takes them out of position, and they haven't redeployed yet, because what's the point of the flank if we lose the listening post?
Yeah. All those people should have been redeploying. This listening post is confirmed gone. You have nobody now in the sector. Not enough at least to stop it. And you have no garrison on Gruski. And the supplies that exist are too far forward for it to be a comfortable garrison. He's likely Abel's going to have to put this in a position that's not good, I think.
You also know that you had at least one enemy squad attacking from the F3, F4 area, which means they're immediately in position to start attacking Gruski.
What we talked about earlier with the D, Mike and Delta, they're completely out of position.
They're still going for Oleg's.
Haven't even realized that they're out of position.
Yeah, this is when you'll have people in command chat say, well, we're pulling down garrisons. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it really doesn't matter. Yeah, get on the front line. That's a good recon. This will catch the majority of this push that's coming out of listening post.
And they put the garrison right in the front of
Gruski,
so which is like one of the first things that's going to get hit.
Yep, that's what I was
right
saying.
On the supplies,
because the supplies are too far forward. Abel put it in a bad spot. And now Commander is placing an airhead behind him again. But this time it's slightly off to the side, so they totally won't see it.
except it looks like it's kind of in a field.
There you go. Smoke push. Trench to trench. Abel's in good position. It's moments like this where I get really worried. You're noticing people all over the place, so it feels like there's less than 50 people on the map. Once you're questioning where everybody is, you know that they don't have enough spawn points, they don't have OPs in the areas you want them to be, and they're also dying quickly.
It kind of looks like they're not giving a lot of direction of moving on the next objective. Like the commander's gone silent. Just doing that final, oh, let's rush for the objective because we're this far in.
I've had a lot of teams say, let's just give it to them, or end our suffering. And I can't personally ever let that happen. I will fight tooth and nail until we lose. I don't care if we lose. I'm just not going to give it to them.
Finish strong is what I usually like to yell through the comms. Even if you've like capped and you've won and it's like a minute left, you finish strong. Game ain't over.
Yep.
So let's just drill into your heads those 4 things again. Placement of friendly troops. We got some coming in west to east, north to south. We're leaving a bit of gap in between points right here. Placement of friendly spawn points. Gary Strong Point. Gary H2. Gary D2. That airhead down there. 2 OPs. Whether or not there's enemy close, Abel is clearly fighting people. Garrison in G2 is lighting up. And officer and commander markers. Not a lot of them here. 1 enemy infantry marker over here. Light tank mark over here. Tank mark over by the windmills.
Love's OP just lit up west side of Gruski. So you gotta push coming through that trench line.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things that you guys drilled into us a while back, the garrisons, when you spawn, you're spawned towards the next point. So if it's red, spawn, turn around because they're probably coming away from it, especially in comp matches.
Yeah, if a garrison's red, you spawn in and run away from it, and you're in my squad, I'm gonna find a way to smack you over the head. Look around, observe,
look
investigate.
the opposite way of the next point because they're in a comp match in particular. They're going to come in behind the garrison because when they spawn, you spawn facing away towards the next point.
Oh yeah, if you're playing against good, I mean, I can't tell you how many times my guys will intentionally come behind a garrison or a spawn point because of exactly that. They'll spawn in facing away from you. You have the advantage now. The point's still red for them, so they should turn. But they'll face away from you and you can get the shot off first.
I think I learned that from Kiebs shooting me in the back of the head 50 times or something.
Right as he spawned. God damn it, he's behind us. Yeah, I'd make a suggestion. One, you can definitely look at your map too much, but find a healthy balance, especially as squad lead, of checking your map often enough to see when things are hot and not. Like, you don't want to be checking every minute because then you're not really learning anything. I've rebound my map button to a button on my mouse so I can click it on and off, and I watch back videos of my clips I make, and I'll just constantly be opening my map for a split second at a time. Just I don't really know how much I'm observing, but I'm definitely learning something every time I open. What OPs are hot, what's not, where's people at, and you make decisions based on that.
When you're getting used to using your map and reading it, it's okay to err on the side of having it open too much. Once you get really used to seeing what you need to see, taking in that information quickly, you can start tuning down how often you use it.
Yep. And like, and say of opening it frequently enough, you would have ideally opened it once to see Charlie had an OP, then it lit up, and now it's gone. All where Kiebs is basically hovering over his icon. So Charlie just lost an OP there, and Love is facing that direction. I'm assuming there's at least a squad pushing from that way.
On the other side of this, there's hardly any marks, and as infantry or as artillery players, man, the more marks you put down, the more I can help you push in.
And marks are important. If Freak Fighter were here, he'd say, don't put too many marks, though.
Yeah, not too many. If there's one there already, don't put another one there. Put your observer or something.
Yeah, mark discipline is both for your squad and also for the rest of the team. The other squad leaders in command, you don't need 10 tank markers on the same tank.
Now, this is something you'll see often in pubs. Groups fight groups. No matter where they are on the map, they go after gunfights and conflicts. So, because the majority of the Soviets were spawning over in H2, the majority of the Axis went to go take on that challenge. They won, but that also pulled them out of position, which is allowing the cap on listening post right now.
Yeah, we're overextended. If the Axis are bad and they only have one garrison on listening post, this could go south quickly, but they're already defending, so I'm guessing they spawned in and got a spawn wave.
Isn't there a list of what marks are squad to squad and what marks are inter-squad?
I believe that's pinned in OSS chat.
Yeah, or Rachel Resources.
It's one of those channels. Yeah,
you can see it when you're making a mark. Like when you look at your map and you right-click and hover over it, it should say who it's for, or when you're using the wheel, I believe it says who it's for. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a post somewhere.
That would be useful for me, by the way, if you could find out what they use, what Inchon and his crew uses for marks.
I think they just use artillery markers right now.
Yeah, I think you'll be an SL just in the combined Team 3 Discord group, so you can hear. Because yeah, you're their artillery guy, so you're kind of following them through the map, keeping in front of them, watching for their marks to pop up.
I noticed none of you guys are in there, so. Damn it.
You big boy, you can do it. No, I wouldn't want to be in your position just because I don't like artillery. Yeah.
I know for a fact that chart has been posted many a times before in this Discord. I just can't find it for whatever reason.
I can find it real quick. I think I remember the Google keyword searching.
Yeah, it's just a useful one to have when you're squad leading because you can post, if you see a bunch of tank marks on something, put your observe there instead of another tank mark.
Yes, I'm constantly using observe. Another thing is the request supplies is something only your squad sees, so I'll use request supplies as infantry quite a bit just to not clog it up. The key, though, is communicating to your squad what it now means, so people don't say, "Oh, he has a request supply mark. I'm going to run up there and put supplies for him." It's like, no, that's
where the machine gun
for the next minute and a half. Yeah.
You got move, defend, attack, observe, request supplies. I think
I
there's one
found it.
more that's
Here
only
we
for
go.
the squad.
Well, defend and attack can be seen by leaders, other squad leaders, and same can move.
Move, yeah.
I'm gonna
I
post
try
this
to
in
avoid
intel.
cluttering up too many people.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Just because I hate when especially because I sometimes get over excessive where I'll have like a move, an attack, and then a defend mark, and it's like, I could replace some of these.
We're gonna
I'll take
move
a
to
screenshot
attack
sometime.
and defend over here.
Yeah.
I'll take a screenshot sometime from Artie when you hit T and you're looking at all the marks, and there's like 50 marks in a 2-inch area on your HUD. And it's like, okay, where am I shooting again?
Yeah, there we go. Dark Times posted it. WTH made this, I think, a year and a half ago now. So yeah, knowing what the visibility of each mark is pretty important.
If I'm not mistaken, there's only one mark that is purely just your unit, and that's request supplies.
And observe. Well, yeah, request supplies.
Observe hits command, right? Yeah. Same with resource node hits commander as well.
Yeah, but I don't care about commander. He can have too many marks.
They actually,
Right.
I don't know when they added this, but they actually, if you hover over them in game, it'll tell you who can see it too. It'll say like command and squad or whatever.
Yeah, they have that. I think it's
was your
both
10.
in the wheel. I think it's both the wheel and when you, if you right click on the map and hover over it, it says it, and then also on the wheel when you use the middle. But having it on a chart is pretty nice.
Because with the chart, it's one thing where you don't have to stop and think about it in the game. You can throw that quick mark down, and I know exactly who's going to see that not.
I promise you, after you play SL for about 20 to 30 hours and mark effectively, you will just know which ones they see and which ones they don't see. I mean, that's something where, like I said, I use request supplies as an infantry mark. If I'm already using an infantry and an observe to mark infantry locations, then request supplies is likely a third infantry mark. But I know that no one else can see that except my squad.
It's something I've gotten good at, like as a sometimes frequent tank commander, because you're like marking a million different things from all the other squads for my tankers. So I got to know, like, which ones the rest of the team can see, so I'm not cluttering everything. Like, all right, defend is a tiger, attack is a panther, observe is another panther.
Yeah, and the really annoying mark is the artillery, request artillery, because your infantry guys can't see it in your squad. So there's plenty of times where someone's like, toss me an infantry mark squad leader, or toss me the artillery mark squad leader, and he does, and you can't see it. It has to be like an observer and infantry.
Honestly, that's one everybody should see.
Yeah.
What's the dispersion on the arty shells?
20 meters. And I think they also have a 20-meter variance when they fall.
Yeah.
If you put them
right.
Range of
20-meter explosive radius and then 20-meter variance.
Just as following through Kiebs' checklist of 4 things, I liked the way they pushed this time. It was more spread out, more people going all in one direction. I don't like how their OPs are all gathered, but they're better.
Yeah, they still don't have a garrison though in G2 or H3 or H2. I mean,
it looks like
commander supplies now are a little too close to the border. That's where there's not a whole lot of cover there.
And again, they're doing the single garrison defense.
Yep. Single garrison.
Christmas.
Still that first one.
Yeah, and you can see where the M squad's infantry mark is. Our push, just stop pushing there.
Yeah, it's George right now, or Baker, whatever those 2 squads are. My priority would be getting a garrison up, trying to force blueberries to spawn in. Just because you have a spawn. You put something up, people's going to click it, and they're going to spawn it, and all of a sudden, 20 seconds go by, you have 5 more guys helping you fight.
Go back to the map real quick, Keeps. When you get a second. Do you then, if you're M squad and you're on that side, do you try to push and cut off the north advance to try to at least surround listening post? Or do you just say screw it and lemmings in with everybody else in the same direction?
Ideally,
Mike, I'd be cutting against and trying to get to H3, because you're either cutting off their attack or knocking out their attacking spawns.
I agree.
You want to help out your squads that you have in G2. If you can free them up, you also enable the surrounds and enable more pressure to be on listening posts.
Coming from an angle they don't expect you to be at will yield amazing results. You run from behind them and knock out 2 OPs, shoot 5 people in the back, find the garrison, you just cut off that entire attack right there.
Right, because they definitely probably have a red zone garrison or something close to that 2-3 line in H with how many were on that recon flight. So I agree. If you can cut across and free up those 3 squads defending in what was that, G2?
There it is, Keeps. It's on right there in the trench. No, you just passed it to your right.
No, right side. Yep, right
there. You're staring at it.
Is that on red zone?
It's a blue enemy garrison. So Kiebs is just on the border. So
Yeah.
It's an Axis blue zone garrison. So yeah, they're using that, and they're able to just constantly springboard over the top. And since there's no one in the H column except now this tank and the people coming out of HQ, they have basically free reign of that.
And this is what I was talking about earlier. Our team has moved the axis of attack to the west instead of north and west.
I
just
like
west.
what Abel just did.
Well, but if too many people follow him now, you're going to have an attack. It's going to turn into a hamburger attack. You have people coming from the back, people coming from the front, but not enough pressure from either side to really do anything.
Right, but at least it changes the axis just a little bit.
Yeah,
It's going to have to pull at least 1 or 2 units have to turn and face the squad.
Yeah, he's the flank. He's got a little bit of geometry to the thing instead of all straight on.
I was trying to do that last night in the war games. It didn't always work out in my favor though, but try to at least make the defenders think about another axis of attack.
Exactly. And sometimes you can have some really successful pushes from behind. I think, Diz, you got like 3 OPs in a garrison earlier just because you came from a different direction than the main axis of attack.
Oh yeah, I mean it's something Kiebs and Madcap have said it as well. Is a different elevation than people coming in from where they don't expect you to be and being higher than like being physically taller or higher up on the map than they expect you to be on top of bushes, on top of houses. People just don't look up. They don't look up. They don't look behind. They spawn in. They run forward. That's also why you can track garrison and spawns incredibly easy, because people spawn in and run in a straight line. So if you see 4 blueberries running in a straight line together, just follow where they came from and you'll find the spawn 9 times out of 10.
Sad all the time that map was open. I don't think I ever saw recon over by Oleg. Clearing that out.
Is that a German garrison you're staring directly at, Kiebs, center of your screen?
Yep.
Right there at the edge, at the lip of that trench line. Yep.
If Mike had pushed over earlier G3 trenches like we were looking at, they probably have spotted that.
Yep. Command's going to place a garrison in D4 again. He really likes that spot.
About 10 minutes ago, you could have tried a red zone Gary in F4-ish with
the double drop
by
Mike.
Airhead.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they had an airhead fall F4 Keephead 1 about 5-6 minutes ago that got destroyed pretty quickly. So I don't know if there's a spawn close enough or they just had people in that area. A really nice thing about having enough garrisons up, creating kind of like a spiderweb effect, is when you see a airhead falling down or a supply crate falling down, due to the limitations of how far they can call it back and where the point is, you can usually just have someone spawn in on one of your back garrisons and now they're 20 feet, 100 feet from that airhead or that supply drop. I do that quite often where, oh, Joe, you're dead, spawn in here, and now you can pop in and you're on the airhead as it lands, even though everyone else is 200 meters away. Just being prepared, being ready to go.
And then Joe tells you, don't destroy it, let them spawn once. So you can kill them all.
You know, jokingly enough, that is the thing I struggle with on on a personal level. Should I let them spawn and murder them, or just destroy the airhead? And one time I got burned, where I let them spawn thinking I'd be cute and kill them, and I got killed. And then they continued to spawn on the airhead, and I was like, I should have just destroyed it. So now, every time since, I just destroyed it immediately. But I always wonder, should I let them spawn? Let them overextend, see if 35 people pop in, and now we can cap, because no one's on the other point.
I think that's fine for pubs, but
yeah, in comp matches, I'm like, pull it down, pull it down. Don't even let it stand for a while. And I hate letting airheads last. This is just a dip into more information on how to kill things. You can throw grenades about 60 meters, so if you can't get to that airhead in time, try to get a ping on it, and when you're about 60 meters away, start throwing grenades. There's a good chance you'll hit it.
Is that a hard number? I always just kind of.
It's
figured
about
it was
60
right
on the dot.
Yeah, I was thinking right around 50. Just
There
based
was
on
one
doing
time
it.
I put marks successfully, like an observe, a move, and then I had a garrison at one point, and I would stand and try to throw the grenade. This is when you could destroy garrisons with grenades.
Smart.
And at 60 meters. So if you're full speed running and you throw the grenade at about 60 meters is how far it goes. So
Good
and
to know.
airheads can be destroyed with grenades, so it's pretty easy to knock them out.
I never tried.
Yeah, but they don't shine or make radio noises, unfortunately, so they're
Right.
really hard to find.
I tried to satchel one last week and wait for set the timer so it would kill people that came in, and the person on my team was sitting there staring at it because he couldn't see the timer. He's like, "Why can't I see the timer?" I'm like, "Well, you back up. You're ruining. Like, you have it locked out. You're ruining my timer." And then it killed him. So at least I got one death.
All right, gentlemen, I gotta go. It's been good. Thank you, Kiebs.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I think we all learned a bit. Now everyone play squad leads and put this into practice.
Amen.
I don't want to see any more games like this. I'm gonna have a nightmare tonight. Thanks, Kiebs. You ruined my night. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate you guys for putting this on.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Thanks, Kiebs.
Excellent.
guys.
Have a good night, everyone. Catch you around
Thanks.
later.
Love you. Bye.